Hello, class. I want to briefly talk about this week's discussion question. It can be confusing because it's really not using the material that you go through in week 6. Week 6 is all about hypothesis testing. And for this discussion question, you don't have to do a hypothesis test. Um, I'm going to read it, use the data set provided, and we'll look at that in a minute. That's right here. Use the data set provided and collect a sample consisting of one income level. Plan and describe the sampling plan. Execute the sampling procedure, then use the results to estimate the mean percent of people within that income bracket. Submit your findings to the discussion link for this week in Canvas. So what this is asking us to do is come over to, this is a spreadsheet that you can download from the question. And it has income levels. You can see here these column headings under 15,000, 15 to 24,999, all the way up to 200,000 and over. If you go to the right, it gives you some mean and medians. We don't need to look at those columns. What you're being asked to do is just pick one of these columns. Let me make this a little smaller. Pick one of these columns, one of these income levels, whichever one you like, and you're going to work with that column. And then you'll see that these rows are based on race and year. So at the top, we have an aggregate. We have all races, and then by year. So if we had picked under 15,000, these are percentages, what we're seeing here in these cells. 10.2% of all races in 2018 earned under 15,000. This is coming from a census. And then there are, I think, 11 delineations based on race. So here we have white alone. And if I looked at under 15,000, I would see in 2018, 8.7% of people considered white alone had under 15,000 as their income, versus in 2013, it was 9.9. So just pick one of these income levels, whichever one you want. And what you're going to do is sample that column. And you pick the sampling method. If you recall, there's simple random sampling, cluster sampling, convenience sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling. Those are all different methods. So choose a method, describe the method that you're using, and then pick a sample from that column. You'll see there's many rows. You decide how many rows of data you're going to choose from that column. And then my suggestion would be to put whatever information you get and put it into StatCrunch. And from StatCrunch, from your sample, you can generate a mean, a standard deviation, a median, all kinds of information from the sample that you've chosen. So let's say, for example, I've picked under 15,000 and I've randomly selected 20 rows worth of data. I would take those numbers, whatever they happen to be, from that column, put them in StatCrunch, generate my mean and standard deviation, maybe other statistics, that's up to you. And with that information, I can then create a confidence interval for the population proportion that is in that income level. Over all races, or depending if you just choose one race, that's also a valid way to go. You could do a cluster and say, I'm just going to choose white non-Hispanic and grab all the rows in that category, or black alone or in combination, and choose everybody in that category. So it's completely up to you. It's just a matter of describing how you're doing it, describing what method you're using, coming up with a mean from your sample, and then generating a confidence interval to describe the population. If you're interested in how these categories of race are being chosen, there's a lot of footnotes here. If you go to the bottom of the spreadsheet, you'll see all the footnoting regarding how this information was chosen from the census. So that's how you should go about this discussion question. Please, if you have any questions, reach out to me and have a good week. You're in the final week. Congratulations.